Good morning, everybody. I am Melina Lewis, and I'm really excited to be interviewing Lauren Kinghorn today. She's someone I've actually known for quite a few years, and she is a visionary digital entrepreneur, which sounds like a mouthful, but isn't, in that I'm sure she'll explain exactly all the things that she does digitally and entrepreneurially. And it's really, really lovely to have her on our Work For Me today. And I'm going to jump straight in with my first cheesy question, which is always, hello, Lauren. And
hello.
And tell us, what did you want to be when you were a little girl? What was the first thing you thought that you were going to be when someone asked you?
I actually love this question because, I did the Artist's Way a number of years ago with a sacred circle of amazing women. And the very first thing that they asked in the Artist's Way when you do your first, your first chapter or whatever together is that question. And I'm telling you, virtually every one of us was in tears at some time in that first session, explaining what we wanted to be when we grew up, kind of thing. I don't know how the question was asked, but it somehow got us all bawling our eyes out. It was really funny. But when we look back, and we bonded like in that session instantly over that question. So I love it. And yes, I guess, I had a few things I wanted to be when I was younger. I wanted to be an actress because I loved watching these movies, like Sound of Music and My Fair Lady, and I wanted to be like that kind of actress, And then I wanted to be a writer, an author, and I also wanted to be a school teacher. Weirdly, although my mom said like very quickly I would say school teacher and then I would say headmistress. I always wanted to like be on the top of something, like it couldn't just be a teacher. Anyway,
that's beautiful. And gosh, you actually remind me, I've also worked my way through the Artist's Way. I did it also a couple of years ago, and I had two false starts. It was really a case of third time lucky, where I had tried to do it, got sort of a third of the way through, didn't quite make it, and then eventually again there was that calling to dig deep and did it again, and then eventually managed to get through it on the third time, and it was a complete life shift. I love the way that you did it, in terms of doing the Artist's Way with a group of women, and
really helped.
And then I think when I have time, I'm going to run Artist's Way circles. Definitely, that's what I'm going to do. So maybe next year or the next. Maybe I'll have to have a few false starts. Yeah. So, oh, cool. So maybe in my subconscious, that question resounded again. So how funny. Thank you for reminding me.
It still took us a while, even as a sacred circle with a number of people, and having that accountability. We still didn't do it in exactly the amount of time, like I think there were 12 chapters or something. So you could have essentially got it done in 12 weeks, but it took us months, probably at least a year to get the thing done. So yes, I think that happens to everybody. That's normal.
Great. Oh gosh, yeah, what a beautiful experience. If anyone out there needs to know, the Artist's Way is a self-driven journey finding artistic tools that help you kind of, I want to say, release the inner artist in whatever form that may be, through music, through art, through writing, whatever it is. But it's a process that one goes through to dig deeper and find one's truth or calling. Would that be, yeah, that would be a summary. So yes, I would recommend it definitely to anybody. So next question, Lauren, what drove you to choose to work for yourself? So you are someone who is quite independent, quite out there. How did that happen?
Well, I've worked for myself in different stages of my life, but I think we're going to be just talking today about becoming a digital entrepreneur. So this new phase of my life, I sort of happened because I had a baby. So I had a child, and I wanted to start my own business so that I could work around his schedule. You know, at the beginning, it was just like a tiny amount of time. He was having a daytime nap, and he was going to school 3 mornings a week. And so I could carve out those 3 mornings at like 9 to 12. I was able to do some work, and then he dropped his nap. So it was only the time that he was at school. So yeah, it was, you know, it's kind of developed over time where I've been able to give more and more hours to my business, based on doing it around his time and being the primary caregiver to my son. And yeah, so it does take quite a lot. Yeah, it has taken quite a lot of time out of my family time, I think, as well, which my husband kind of resents. Although now that I'm making money, there's been a shift in his perception. Now he's like cracking the whip. Okay, yes, I'll do things with him. You can work. Now he wants to retire and let me handle it all.
He sees the value all of a sudden. Hey?
Yeah. Yeah, and he thinks he can do it better, of course, the whole parenting gig as well, you know.
Well, I mean,
but like, of course,
obviously
he hasn't done it full time yet.
yeah, exactly. Oh, wonderful. Okay, so in terms of everything that you're currently doing, I haven't even touched on anything that you do. Tell us everything that Lauren does.
Oh goodness. Okay, so it started off, the reason I started building my first niche website, which is Happy Human Pacifier, was because I was really crazy about breastfeeding my son. And I believed in long-term breastfeeding, extended breastfeeding, and eventually I actually went full term. And so it was born out of passion. And my goal actually was to write a book, Melina. It was not to build a website, it was to write a book. And that's one of the things that remains on the back burner for me. It's on like my hit list, that, you know, that list that you just never get done. But yeah, because I started on the niche website, and the idea was, okay, if I'm going to write a book, I need to have an audience for my book, you know, because there's no point in putting a book out there and then, you know, who's going to buy it if, you know, they've never heard of me, they don't know me. So it was this idea of, okay, I must build authority online first. And so I'll get a website going and I'll build my authority by writing articles, blah, 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 blah. And there was this process that I was going to follow. But then the blogging, you know, this, I started enjoying blogging so much, and I became passionate about that. And so instead of writing the book, I just created the next website, and then the next website. And, you know, they just kind of took on a life of their own. And that's how I became a digital entrepreneur. And now what I do, so if you have to break it up into a whole lot of different things, there are lots of different ways you can make money once you have a website out there. And one of the main ways I make money is through sponsored posts. So it means a client will come to me and they will ask me to write a post for them, but publish it on my site or one of my sites. So that's sponsored posts. Then I also make money through paid posts, which is they will write a post for me and I will publish it on my sites. Okay, that's a lot easier. It's just really just put it up, add some pictures, format, etc. Next way to make money is e-commerce. So when you have a website, you can make money through e-commerce, which is basically setting up a shop on your site. So I have got a shop on one of my websites, a WooCommerce shop, and I also have where I sell my digital services, but I also have a store on something called Redbubble. Right. Which is where I sell merchandise. So, you know, kind of branded things, or, you know, various designs on the goods. So yeah, so that's another side of e-commerce that I have got going. And then of course you start to learn after a while of being online that affiliate marketing is a great way to make money. So everything you kind of add, or everything you sort of buy for your website, you can sell as an affiliate, if I'm making any sense. So if you get a email marketing program, then you can recommend that to your audience and become an affiliate for that. So affiliate marketing is something I do.
Wow.
And then the other way, and then you start to realize that affiliate marketers are making great money, but you know who's really making the most money online is people who have their own courses, who create their own courses.
Right.
So I also create my own online courses and sell those.
Yeah.
And then the next level, of course, I still need to get that book out there and sell that. At the moment, I only give books away, but I don't sell any yet. I haven't taken that leap to put one up on Amazon yet. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I want to have like the perfect book written before I deign to put it on Amazon. Not that there ever is such a thing, because like everything you write this week, you look back next week and you think, oh, I thought it was so good then, but like, you know, I've moved along now.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, so books is another way to make money once you're blogging or once you're a digital entrepreneur. Have I left anything out? Oh yes. Oh, and for my sins, I have added another dimension.
Yeah.
Which is something I've done for many years in my life. Network marketing.
Right.
And so I'm bringing that in and working out how to marry the two. So my digital business and my network marketing business. So I'm learning attraction marketing so that I can understand that connection on how you would sort of, it's really just to grow your prospect list, but then you still land up doing network marketing the normal way, where you land up having a conversation with somebody, you know, and showing them the whole system, etc., etc. But yeah, I'm busy figuring that all out at the moment, and we're nearly there.
Okay, wow. So you have got pretty much a ton of stuff going on. So
Yeah.
there's a couple of things that I noticed that came up for me. So one, it is all digital, okay? Even your books are digital, and but if there is a product element to it, then that is purchased digitally, and then I'm assumed then it is put into production and then it is shipped, okay?
Yes.
So quite interesting that you've built an entire ecosystem of multiple smaller businesses, okay, which you can think of as different income streams, but that are all completely online, okay? So you don't need necessarily employees or a building or anything. Basically, you are just you and your laptop and data, and off you go, okay? So that's really interesting. So I suppose what's quite inspiring and maybe a nice option for people out there, if they're thinking, okay, wow, you know, I want to start my own business, but I really, you know, I don't have the funds to kind of buy an office or, you know, anything like that. If you can access some kind of a computer or a device, you can actually really start a digital business like that, right?
You could almost do it with your smartphone. You could almost do all of that with just a smartphone. Although it is handy to have a laptop, and it's definitely a good idea to have good Wi-Fi. But I must tell you that for the longest time, in fact, until just before lockdown, I was not using the best Wi-Fi. I only just moved onto fiber now. So you can even do it on not the best Wi-Fi connection. And I had a rubbish laptop for the first few years and had to eventually upgrade because it was just not working. So yes, you can do it on very minimal things.
That's really a great option for a lot of people who maybe now find themselves possibly unemployed or thinking about their lives differently and going, okay, wait, I can actually explore owning my own business from a completely, from a digital perspective, which is super exciting. And I think a lovely option for a lot of people, especially when you are kept socially distant. So that's great. The other thing I picked up from what you were saying was, what I really loved is that when you thought about setting up your human pacifier book or business, etc., the one that was driven by passion, which I'm a big believer of, and so I think that's beautiful. And the other was that you wanted to grow your customer base before you just put your product out there. And I had a little giggle on the inside because I wrote a book and then I thought, oh, I'll just put that out there and people will read it, which was hilarious. Okay. Like, thank goodness I have a lot of friends, is what I can say. But, and shame, poor buggers, they had to buy the book. They were just like, just buy the book. But it was quite funny. And I didn't even think about that, and I'm a marketer. But sometimes you get blinded by your own creative zealousness, if there's such a word. And I love that that's what you started with. And I think just tying that back to building that digital business, you can very easily test out a concept and a business digitally online, see if you can create that community, that customer base, before you start running off and creating X, Y, and Z, or offering service or product. And so,
and here's what I've learned. Can I make a point on that? What I've learned along the way is it really helps to leverage off existing platforms. So, for example, Amazon is great. So you published your book on Amazon Kindle, and Amazon is a massive, massive marketplace, which means you are going to get some organic sales, whether or not you do. I would think. I mean, I actually haven't. I haven't
anymore. They've changed their algorithm.
But no. I know. Oh, Amazon. Okay, yeah. They've also cut off their affiliates lately, but yeah. So generally, when you join a very large platform of whatever you're doing. So for example, I'm also freelancing some services on a platform called Fiverr. So freelancers go to Fiverr and they sell their services there, and I get organic sales on Fiverr. In fact, once I received a Facebook advert selling my gig that was put out by Fiverr. And that was amazing. I mean, I was thinking, like, am I the only one seeing this, or are they really putting that out there? And then I realized I'm definitely not the only one seeing that, because every time they put out one of those ads, I get a bump in and an increase in my orders on Fiverr. So they're actually selling my service for me. Yeah. So really, when you leverage off a platform that already has a massive audience, like Fiverr, like Amazon, like Redbubble, where you can sell the merchandise, like Udemy. If you're selling online courses, you can sell them on a platform like Udemy or Skillshare, and you don't have to go and market your course. You get organic sales all over the world of your course. It's fantastic.
That's incredible. Yes, and I didn't.
So that is a really great way to go.
Yeah, that's fantastic in terms of all the platforms that already exist that we can hop onto and actually utilize. I mean, you can even think of the social media platforms, your Facebooks, your Instagrams, your Twitters,
exactly.
LinkedIn. You buy, in that case, advertising, but you are then enabled to market and advertise your product to a whole community of people, so I really think that is something that people need to think about in terms of what are the existing platforms out there, how can one put your service, can marry it, maybe it's even something like Pinterest. If you're making X, Y, and Z things, that is another way that you can also take your product out there. Brilliant. Okay, great advice. Thank you.
Most of it's free. You can really do this on the cheap, really. Cheap or free. If you're using social media correctly, you don't need to go advertise. In fact, advertising is a very late you should do that when you have an established business and you're already generating a lot of income. So advertising is not a first port of call. You can first use the free ways to expand your business. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think just to kind of, finish on that, it's so important to think about, people will say, oh, but how do I do this and how do I do that? And really, it's as simple as getting onto YouTube and saying, how do I advertise for free on Facebook? I promise you I'm sure if one put that into a search now, you would find at least 10 videos on how to do that. And it is about utilizing those free elements, those free offerings that people are putting out there, and just going for it and trying as well. Actually open the account, start, try, and then you'll figure it out, I find.
If you're a little bit internet savvy, if you just know your way around your computer, you can virtually find everything out on Google or YouTube. I love them. And Pinterest. Pinterest is a wealth of information. I love using Pinterest as a search engine as well to find really good quality stuff.
I mean, maybe I don't know, I potentially am doing myself a disfavor by saying this, but I definitely don't use Pinterest at all. I think I had an account. I'd have to find that login. Probably rusty. But yeah, I did not know that Pinterest was a great search tool. So thank you. Great. Everybody out there? Pinterest. Yeah. Okay. So in terms of your businesses and doing all of this stuff, I know we've spoken a little bit about how you can set them up and the tools that you can use that are digital and online and available and free, but also in terms of the stuff that you didn't know you needed. What was it that you found was critical to your business and you went, oh, Sherman, I did not know I needed that?
I think where most people really most people come onto the internet and they see people making a lot of money. Okay, they see the stories and the income reports and whatever, and most people get beguiled by that and they see the internet as a get-rich-quick scheme. It is definitely not. Every single thing that you do on the internet is going to take time. Everything. If you're building a YouTube channel, it's gonna take a while to get to your first 1,000 subscribers. It's not gonna be instant. If you're building a podcast channel, if you are building niche websites, getting that audience there, unless you do something, extraordinary. I don't know, you write a post that just blows it out of the water and goes viral, like right off the bat, but I've never heard of that. It takes time to refine your art, as with any business. An online business is no different. Rome wasn't built in a day, and an online business isn't built in a day either. You're going to take time to build your empire online. And the other thing is, it needs to be aligned with your skills, who you are, and you actually spend most of your time trying to figure out who you are, who you serve, and what you offer them. So what solutions you provide for people. And once you have that, you actually have your ticket to success. So once you know who you are online, who you serve, and what problems you solve, or what one problem you solve, you are for a way. But it can take a while to find that. So my path has been kind of trying different avenues and different angles, and kind of I've kind of had a windy path online. It hasn't been a straight line, like, okay, this is what I do, this is the problem I solve, so therefore I serve that audience. It hasn't been simple. Maybe I've overcomplicated it. And maybe if you bed that down right from the start, you can really make it. But I think I've reinvented myself online quite a number of times. And as I've been doing, there's no right or wrong way to really do things. But as I've been doing that, things have been unfolding for me, and I've been finding different things. So, but there's two sides here. There's one, what do you offer? But the other thing is, how do you offer it? So you also need to look at your personality, your skills, your wealth, I don't know if you've ever looked at the 8 entrepreneur profiles put out by Wealth Dynamics, where you can either be a star or a supporter or a creator, or there's all these different ways that you could create wealth. And knowing your path to wealth really helps. So originally, when I first started looking at that, I thought I was a supporter, because I'd been a massage therapist for 10 years and I was very nurturing, and I was just there to listen and to nurture people, and so I thought I was a supporter profile. It turns out, once I started really looking into my entrepreneur profile, I was a star. And stars are really good at promoting things, at marketing, or obviously being upfront and being stars, speaking in public, writing books, being an authority, that sort of thing. So, you know, I had to find that path, and I had to find it online. So once you know what you are, so another person might be a trader, and therefore trading online is going to work for them, or an accumulator, and therefore they're going to amass lots of different things. They might buy a number of niche websites and then sell them off again, or, you know, everybody has a different path.
Yeah.
And once you know your path, it makes life a lot easier for you, because then you can kind of slot into that and find those things that work well with your path. So when you look at my digital business now, YouTube is becoming a much bigger part of what I do. Podcasting is becoming a much bigger part of what I do, because I'm a star. So I need to be out there doing those things. But of course, affiliate marketing also works for me because I'm good at promoting things. And that's the same reason why network marketing works for me. So it's about finding what aligns with you, your nature, who you are, and then you can work out who you serve and, you know, what problems you solve. Sure, that was a long answer. Did anybody understand any of that?
I and it really, really does make perfect sense. And I love that you didn't have a linear path. You went on this journey in order to figure out that you weren't the supporter. So because you assumed, and we all do it, that you are something because you are something. You know, oh, I'm a mother, so I should be like this. Or I'm a wife, so I must behave like that. You know, oh, I'm a good girl, I must behave like this. All those things in our lives that tell us the stories about ourselves that often are not true. And it's about going on that journey and then looking and seeing, oh, wait a minute, hold on, why isn't this thing working? Why isn't it resounding? And then finding that. And I couldn't agree more in terms of you being a star. You are a star. I think there's a little bit of support in you, in that you are very supportive of other people online. You've been very supportive of me, and I've appreciated that over the years. So there is that underpin, but it's definitely a secondary kind of personality trait or entrepreneurial trait, however you want to say it. So so
when you understand the wealth profiles, you'll actually see that it goes creator, star, supporter. So it's like a circle, and creators at the top, and then there's star, and then there's supporter. So actually I will always have a bit of supporter in me and a bit of creator in me, but it's not going to be my path to wealth, creating. So that's why maybe writing a book is taking me so long. But the star is the main one. Public speaking is more my real, you know, passion, I suppose, and teaching online, you know, I do, that'll work better for me than going the full-on creator side or the full-on supporter side.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more in terms of what I know about you. So that's wonderful that you've in this process of building up your business, learned more about yourself. And in that way, you can build a more successful business, which is really exciting. And a lot of people I've spoken to on the different podcasts have been talking a lot about how they had to dig deep before they could grow their business. And it's so important. I can't stress how that is so important. And whether it's through something like the Artist's Way book or through psychological profiling, whatever it may be, that is a critical part to building a successful business. So yeah, thank you for sharing that little nugget. I'm sure everyone's going to be Googling wealth profiles. So yeah, we'll add that link in. Okay, so you've got a lot of things out there. You obviously then maybe are split in multiple directions. Okay. You've obviously figured out who you are speaking to and who's resounding. And sometimes I'm assuming, just from a marketing perspective, you have slightly different profiles for different businesses in terms of your target market. Okay. So how are you going about selling your offering? Because you're selling a lot of you in a lot of these businesses. How do you go about showcasing that and putting that out there? Because as I said with Amazon, yes, you can put your book on Amazon, but it's like putting a book on a shelf in a library in like London or in New York, where how are you ever going to find it? So, you know, just think of an enormous library and your little book stuck on one of those shelves. That is Amazon.
Yeah.
So what you need to do
Yeah.
is get the librarian on your side, and that next time someone gets in, she says, oh, I've got a wonderful book for you, and she pulls your book out.
Yeah.
So in terms of telling people about, you know, your different offerings and your different websites, the internet is the same space. You can put a wonderful website up, but if people aren't drawn to that, or find it easily, or Google or AdWords or ads, whatever, how are they going to find you? So how are you connecting with your people?
Okay, so first of all, just to say that has not been something I have excelled at up until now. I haven't made that a focus. And about 5 or 6 months ago, I realized that that was a big mistake, that I haven't really focused on my own promotion, and I need to focus on that. So there's a couple of things that really work online when you start promoting yourself. And so that is a new focus for me this year. The one is you absolutely need to have an email list. And I did not focus on putting that together because I was so busy putting all the other pieces of the puzzles together that I thought, how would I have these emails written every week or whatever? How could I be consistent in actually sending out emails? I don't want to create a list if I don't even have the time to put together the emails. And so I held back on that, even though I knew everybody told me the fortune is in the list, the fortune is in the list. Because as soon as you have created some kind of signature product, you need to have a list. You need to have people that you're marketing that to. And, you know, if you don't do that right from the bat, you are leaving money on the table. You are literally, the thing is, at the beginning, you don't have anything to sell. So you don't know what you're going to tell the people, right?
Yes.
So it's a process, you know. But yeah, so if people are coming to your website every month and you don't know, you can tell from your Google Analytics or whatever, you can tell who's coming to you in terms of where they're coming from, whether they're male or female. You can tell various things, but you cannot get their name and their email address unless you put up a little pop-up or a little, you know, some sort of capture form, email capture form on your website to get them to type in their email address. And of course, to do that, you have to have something valuable that you're going to offer them that they will be doing, you know, giving you their email address. So that, I would say, is one of the critical things to do as soon as you possibly can. Create something, even if it's a little printable on Etsy, or create something that you have got that you can give away, a checklist, a printable, a video that you've done, a little 5 emails that give people a training or a challenge that they can do with you. Have something that you entice people to join your email list, a reason for them to join you. Yes. And once you have that, you can start to build your real audience, because otherwise you'll never know who your audience is. So on Amazon, if somebody buys a book on Amazon from you, you are not going to know who that person is, because Amazon owns the client. Yep. And so it's an Amazon customer, it's not a Melina Lewis customer. So unless they leave you an incredible review, but even then you don't get the email address on their reviews, do you? So you still don't know who they are from Adam, unless they are someone you know personally and you already knew them. So they've gone and bought your book because you said, go buy my book on Amazon. And then they leave you a great review because they love you. You know, but all the other customers that you get on any other platform are never going to be your customers. So at some point you have to build your own client base, and at some point you're going to need to get personal with them. So that is what I've discovered. It's not enough to just have digital products going out there. What I mean is you want to build a personal relationship with your clients. And the only way to do that is either through email or through webinars or through, it needs to be high touch. So it needs, or phone calls. You could actually call people. I mean, that is going to the next level, but I highly recommend that. If you're wanting to build I would rather have 100 people on my email list that actually get back to me every couple of emails than 1,000 or 10,000 people on my email list and hardly any open rates and hardly anybody getting back to me. So it's not about them. Although they say it's a numbers game, it's not, it is and it isn't.
Yes.
It is and it isn't. Yes, you do want numbers, but you don't want so many numbers that it becomes unmanageable. The bigger the email list, the less open rates.
Absolutely.
The less people you have actually getting back to you. The smaller you go, if you build a small group, like maybe a membership site, where everybody is very engaged and very involved, and you have a personal relationship with each of those people. Now, I know this is sounding like crazy stuff here, but the more personal you can get with your audience, the more, like, for example, let's take someone like Sunny Lenarduzzi. She is my favorite YouTuber. Sunny Lenarduzzi has built this massive name for herself on YouTube. She's a real superstar on YouTube. And she goes and personally answers every comment below each of her videos. And that is part of her success. She's authentic. She is in her business. She is not just, putting stuff out there and then just leaving it out there. She is there in her business, talking to those people, nurturing them, building relationships with them. And so no matter what you're doing digitally, you're going to at some point get to a point where it all just caves in on itself, or you can't go any further. You're going to reach a ceiling if you don't build personal relationships some way online.
Yeah. Just in the sense that at the end of the day, we mustn't lose sight that we are selling to other people. Even if you're doing it digitally is like, I always think of the internet as a virtual mall. At the end of the day, it's a place where commerce happens. And people are walking around. Some are walking around and just licking an ice cream. Others are in there buying and shopping and doing things and finding things. But at the end of the day, there are businesses there. But you're still dealing with people, and people still need to be dealt with, as you say, graciously, kindly, acknowledged. And I think I'm going to go look up this Sunny, what's her name?
Sunny Lenarduzzi. Yeah.
Sunny Lenarduzzi. She sounds amazing.
She's amazing. I'll send you a link.
Please.
You're going to love her. I'll send you a link to her. She's absolutely stunning. And she actually teaches. She has a course on how to, really make it on YouTube and how to create courses as well. I think her course is, I can't remember. But yeah, I've watched so many of her YouTube videos because they are just fantastic. She's Canadian. And she's just a wonderful personality online, and just really very nurturing. And very organized, exceptionally organized in the way that she sets everything out, The amazing thing is, though, when you get to know these characters online, or kind of, authorities online, experts online, you really get to know them, especially on YouTube. YouTubing and podcasting, has really changed the game online, because, blogging, you can actually get to know someone on a blog as well. But the moment they are there, and you can get really intonation when you can see them on video, right? They're much larger than life on video than in written form, I think.
Absolutely.
In most cases. And so, so once you get to know these people, they feel like your friends, actually. Even if they don't know you, they don't know who you are. Like, I have told the world about Sunny Lenarduzzi, and to me, she's in my living room. She's sitting in my room because she's here, because I'm watching her. She's, that's what YouTube does. It puts the person right there in your space, and you get to know them. The more that they put stuff out there, the more you get to know this person, and you kind of feel like they're a friend, even if they don't know who you are.
Yes.
And so the moment they answer your message, you know, they give you a personal answer on your message that you put on, you feel like, oh wow, the superstar deigned to speak to me.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, she's just
It's
a
amazing.
person, and she's responding to
Exactly.
the person who is her customer. And if you walked into a store, wouldn't you be expecting to be greeted? Of course you would.
Absolutely.
You know?
The people who are successful in business are those people who give personal service and
Always.
really do it well, you know.
Absolutely.
So if you grow too big too soon, you lose that.
Hmm.
And that's the thing. So for example, I have my Udemy course out, and it felt like, you know, I thought really when I put a course up on Udemy, I was just going to start, you know, it was just, I was going to get so many people enrolling on my course and it was going to go so quickly. But I'm glad it hasn't gone too quickly, because then I have the time to actually answer the people and welcome them to the course. And, you know, how are you doing? You've enrolled on my course. How exciting. Please let me know when you've created your own Redbubble store. I want to see it. You know, you can actually be involved in the process with the people if you have the time. But if you put a course out there and 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 people join your course in one day, how do you possibly get back to each of those people? It's tricky to give it that same personal touch. Yeah, so I'm not saying slow your business down, because it is going to take time. It's going to take time anyway, and you can grow with it, and eventually you'll have like a response that, you know, that works for most people, that you can put together, and, you know, there's ways to build it. But yeah, I do think that no matter what we do online, people still want personal contact. So what I love is where digital and real life come together. So my favorite thing is to put out a digital course and then have a live workshop, like literally live. You know, as in go and, you know, speak to people, which we can't do right now in lockdown, but a webinar comes about as close as, you know, and this kind of thing. But yeah, really live. So I think that convergence where online and offline meet is extremely exciting. And the people who really take it to the next level are people who are able to operate on all the levels, if you know what I'm saying. So they can operate online, but they can just as easily go offline and run a workshop in front of real live participants.
Yeah, I think that is, and I suppose it's about being able to offer a similar offering across any medium or across any channel. And
Exactly.
for some people, I interviewed a woman and she said, oh, she didn't mind, you know, doing, say, a Instagram story or a video or whatever, but she didn't feel that comfortable doing, you know, standing up in front of people. So for her, she'd found somewhere where she was comfortable, happy, but then she wasn't prepared to do the other thing. And I think that is also fine. But as you say, it is a limiting step, but it's not going to harm your business anyway, as long as you're okay.
Again, it goes to your profile. Yeah, it goes to your profile. So if you're someone who's very reserved and introverted, you may never do any of the public stuff, but you can still build a very powerful business online. And at some point, you're probably also going to take on partners. So that's the easiest way to get into your flow, is to collaborate with other people. And, you know, where they are shining, you know, they go and do the stuff that is in their flow, and you do the stuff that is in your flow. And, you know, ultimately that's what you really need. I need someone doing all the back end stuff for me at some point. I can't do it all myself forever.
I know.
But then it's about choosing those things to focus on. So you say, okay, these are the things I'm going to do. This is what's going to make it my business. You know, does that make sense? So it's finding those things that are your flow, and you do those, and then you hire people to do the stuff that isn't you.
I couldn't agree more with that. And it's about, it goes back again to that knowing and understanding yourself. And then as your business grows, figuring out the things that weigh heavily on you versus that which lights you up and keeps you doing what you do brilliantly. and then finding the people who can support you in those things that you're not great at, you don't like, that are hard work.
Exactly.
And yeah, although actually everything is hard work, but just in terms of finding people who can do the stuff that doesn't light you up and doesn't inspire you.
Exactly.
I also wanted to ask you, in terms of, you mentioned that putting yourself out there was something that you hadn't been so good at. And it's kind of hinted towards, how do you feel about failing? How do you see failure?
So I don't really believe in failure. I really believe that the only way to fail is to quit. So as long as you keep going and you keep trying, I think that mistakes are made for sure, that you can look back and you can think, oh, I could have, this could have gone so much faster if I just got that sooner. But everything is an unfolding, and I never beat myself up. Well, not never beat myself up. I'm probably quite hard on myself, actually, but I try to move on quickly from any mistakes that I've made and keep moving forward. So I think if you continually in action, continually learning, and continually applying what you've learned, you can't really go wrong. If you're not learning from your mistakes and you just keep repeating the same mistakes over and over, then I think you might get to a point where you feel like you failed that thing. But generally, what most people do is they get something wrong and then they correct. So it's about course correcting all the time. Yes. And you always, you know where you're heading, and you know that it might be a higgledy-piggledy path to get there, but you also know you're going to get there. And if you have a very strong vision and you really know what you're setting out to do, you will get there. And also, once you've put a certain amount of work in, you're not going to stop. I mean, it would really devastate me to quit at this point of the game, which would be failure, which would be considered failure. It would be absolutely ludicrous to do that. Even, because even if I'm not really exactly where I need to be or where I should be yet, or where I could have been if I had done what earlier, whatever it was, it doesn't matter, because it will all unfold as it should, and we'll all get there in the end. So I think patience is probably the biggest lesson. There is no failure unless you just give it all up. But if you know what you're going for, and you just keep going and you're patient, you will get there.
Definitely. And I think that's great advice for people starting a business. Often with starting a business, it's very exciting and it consumes you and you just want to do it all the time. And then you get the first income tax and you go, oh gosh, no, this is not so great. But just in terms of advice, I think that's great advice to be patient. It's something I really suck at, actually, patience. It's, if you ask any of my friends, they're definitely not patience on her virtues. But in terms of other advice for people who are going to start out a business, maybe it's a digital business. And so if you want to kind of respond thinking from a digital perspective, or any other business advice in general, what would your advice be to someone starting their own business?
Okay, so lower your expectations first. In terms of how long it's going to take, don't think you're going to do it in 5 minutes. Just know that you're going to follow a process, and you're going to look to find those processes, and finding the right process for you might take a while. So just already know that up front, and then you might not beat yourself up so much, and you might have a bit more patience. So that's definitely the first step. And then start looking for the people. So look at your passions. So I think it would be to get really clear, okay, what am I passionate about? Then go and find people. If it's a digital business that you're doing, find people who are already doing what you're passionate about, okay? So go and find those authorities online. So say now your passion is I don't know, making cupcakes. So type in making cupcakes and authorities, or making cupcakes and experts, or making cupcakes and gurus. I don't know, whatever you want to type in, into Pinterest, into YouTube, into Google, okay? And you're going to get different results generally on each of them. And then go and read what or listen to or watch what everybody else is doing in terms of making cupcakes, and what their websites look like, what their businesses look like, what do they sell. Go and have a look. What are they selling? How are they making money? You know, what is their process? So that you can get an idea, okay, which one of these people seems like the kind of thing I would want to be doing. So once you see all of those people doing their things online, you think, oh, that looks good, I could do that, and start there. So if it's becoming a YouTuber, start with YouTube. If it's becoming a blogger, start blogging, you know. So then you go and look for the courses that maybe they did that got them to where they're at. If it's podcasting, you know, go and look and see who they follow. You need to just get an idea of the landscape, the entire landscape, before you jump right in, so that you know what it is that you're studying is going to take you, because you're going to have to do some courses, you're going to have to upskill. So you need to make sure that you're doing the courses that are going to take you to where you want to go and how you're going to earn money. And then also, having said all of that, just start. Just get started, because you could get analysis paralysis really, really easily if you go to the nth degree on this process. You could just be sitting there like watching all these people and just getting more and more like you might even start to feel like, oh my goodness, these guys are all so brilliant, I'll never get there. But just, that's why you've also just got to jump in and get started on something. So if they're teaching you how to create a YouTube video, go and learn how to put up your first YouTube video. And there's a million YouTube videos that'll teach you how to do that. You know, if it's how to write a blog post, there's loads of, you know, blog posts teaching you how to write a blog post. So just go and get started with something and get yourself out there. And yeah, and have fun with it.
Definitely. Lots of fun. You'll need a good sense of humor. Actually, no one's given that advice. I'm giving it free of charge. Have a good sense of humor. You must be able to laugh at yourself. That should be critical in
totally.
your own business. Must be able to laugh at self. So I love those two things. Basically, it's research your market. It's market research. So understand where you want to go, what you want to do. Well, actually, firstly, it was know what you want to do. So that kind of deep dive into self and understanding where your passion lies and what you want to do. Then going to the market, researching the other pros and geniuses out there and finding out what they're doing, seeing how they're doing it, and copying. As a child, I remember feeling incredibly incensed when someone copied me. Now I have become the biggest copycat. I am shameless. I will copy someone I think is brilliant. And I think it is, they must feel honored, because I obviously think they're very amazing. So copy away. There's enough for everybody is my thinking. So copy someone who's brilliant, especially if they're overseas and you translating that into a South African context. You know, really, what are you waiting for? And then thirdly, yeah, absolutely. Just start and get out there, and don't get too much analysis paralysis. I really believe in that. And that's the best way to learn those things that you didn't know, that you'll never know until you actually put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard and actually do it yourself. So great advice.
And very often these top people are mentors. They are there to teach you what you want to, the people I follow anyway, you know, they all seem to have courses out there, because that is on the digital sphere, that is the like holy grail essentially. Is once you start getting your courses and your webinars and your, you know, masterminds and that sort of thing, then, you know, then you've made it essentially.
Absolutely. Have not made it yet. Coming. It's coming.
Excuse me, You've got a podcast going, you've got YouTube going.
What about
You've got books published.
I know my books are my best, but they are really to entertain. So for entertained, I'm very happy. Okay, so last question. What do you love the most about what you do?
I love seeing a transformation in somebody. So I love when I put out my first course, and it was a simple course, how to create your own Redbubble store, basically. So once I learned how to do it, I wanted to show people how to do it because I was so excited about it. And so I decided that would be my first course. And then I found the people starting to do the course and putting up posts about what they had done and what they'd created. And that was exciting to me. So actually seeing that what I've done has made a difference to somebody. That really is what gets me up in the morning. I want to make a difference to somebody's life. I would love to show people how to make passive income online. So I will keep searching for the best passive income sources until I can show people this is the way to do it. Here's a system you can follow. Just plug into the system and you're going to do it. And also understanding which person would be best for which kind of system, because you get all of those different types of people. So it's almost like I want to channel all that knowledge into, into what it is that I do online, when I finally get that thing that I say, okay, this is what it is. This is what it is. I show people how to follow their path and not my path, but like how to find their path online, because it's different for everybody. And, it's based on there's so many variations. There's so many different things you could be doing that could be making you money. And your personality is going to come into it, and who you are and what you believe in. There's just so much that makes up your success online, or in any business as an entrepreneur.
Yes, and it's what you're saying can be applied to any business. It can be applied to the cupcake shop, and it can be applied to a digital shop, a Redbubble or anything. It's the same thing. It's at the end of the day, you have to know what you're trying to do, putting out an authentic business and connecting with people who resound with you and your product. So
yeah. So the world's your oyster, really.
Exactly.
I mean, the world really is your oyster. Once you get on the internet, there is so much open to you.
Thank goodness.
It's really exciting. Yeah, it's so exciting. I mean, we can work from home, we can work online. All you need is a laptop or a smartphone and Wi-Fi, as we said at the beginning. And it's and some courses, obviously, the right courses, and you're A for a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you, Lauren. Thank you so much for your insight and all your digital knowledge. I'm sure lots of people will want to get hold of you and let you help them find their right path, I hope. So how can people get hold of you? What's the easiest way to get hold of you?
What's the easiest way to get hold of me? I think I sent you some links that you can just pop below.
Yeah, I will do.
What's the easiest way to get hold of me? I don't know. Come on to any one of my websites. Inspiring Mompreneurs is the most popular one. And by the way, everybody, you will find Melina's interview on Inspiring Mompreneurs. I've interviewed her because she inspires me no end. So go on to inspiringmompreneurs.com and you will find links to all of my social media and whatever, or email me on lauren@inspiringmompreneurs.com.
Beautiful. That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Lauren. It's always a treat to speak to you. And I'm sure we will be in touch. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Awesome.
Bye.